Hello everyone and welcome. It's Alexandra and here is my furry assistant, Chloe. If Chloe is on the desk, that means that we are ready to start working on a new project. I have shared a glimpse of it in my previous video, and today we will be working on this rainforest folio with lots of colorful birds that you can find in the rainforest. And Chloe will probably assist us, and me particularly, during the video. Here she is, just enjoying some morning sun on my desk. Kids are back to school after spring break. We had quite a busy week, so I'm happy to be back to crafting. Let me flip through the pages of this folio first, and then we will look at the pages that the kit includes. And of course, I also have a freebie for you. All the links will be in the description box down below, so please make sure to check them out. I have a prototype of the folio right here in front of me, and I'm saying that this is a prototype because a few things have changed in the kit that you will be able to purchase from my Etsy store. The main difference between the version that I have here and the version which I released in the kit is in the thickness of the spines on the side. Mine has 1/8 of an inch spines, and I understood that this was not enough for all the tucks and pockets and additional elements that the folio has on the inside. It has a wind-up closure or a string closure, depends on how you want to call it. There is a top and a bottom flap, and also, of course, it opens to the sides. That's how the back looks like. I thought that here you could add your name or just leave it blank. Here is the front of the folio. And let's look inside. The flaps open to the top and to the bottom. And here we have the flaps that flip open to the sides. We have 3 sections here on the inside. The central part of the folio has a pocket with a see-through opening in it, and then you can put this large journaling card inside the pocket. And also you have a specimen slide with the pictures of beautiful birds in 3 round frames, and that's the back of it. Then you also have a slide which is a bit smaller with just 2 frames with the birds. And this is just a glassine envelope that is not included in the kit, but I wanted to put in it the leftover labels and some more elements that I was left with after finishing everything. And there is another envelope that you will be able to store these in case you don't have any envelopes like these. So let me put these aside for now, and we'll keep on going. So on the left hand side of the flap, we also have another pocket with an additional see-through window, and this pocket holds a large specimen card. I like how this one turned out with a gorgeous hyacinth macaw, and that's its picture, and that's how the back looks like. And we have one more specimen slide with more pictures of the birds, and this time the slide is in a bright purple color, and that's the back. Now on this side of the flap we have two horizontal pockets with two label holders, and I have attached those with brads. The bottom pocket holds two journaling cards that look like this. That's their reverse side. And here we have two faux tea cards with the pictures of these beautiful parrots. And in the version of the tea cards from the kit on Etsy, you will also have the numbers in these black circles, number 1 and number 2. I thought that it would be better not to leave them plain. That's the reverse side of the cards with some splatters and coffee stains. In the bottom horizontal pocket, you will have this cute envelope, and inside this envelope you will be able to store the leftover fussy cut elements in case you will not find a place for them on the pages of the folio, or you will not use them for anything else. I included a card for this envelope that looks like this. You will also have some more birds to fussy cut, and I really like the colors of these. There are various parrots in here. This is how they look like, and there are also some flowers that you can also use on maybe additional elements that you will want to make for this folio, or maybe you will want to use them in your other makes. That's what we have inside the folio. And then on one of the side flaps, we have an additional pocket with a card that is hiding there, and we have two more pictures with beautiful parrots in here. That's the folio that we are going to work on together today. Here are the pages of the kit. There are 11 of them. Let me quickly show them to you. And here is an additional page, page number 12, that you can download for free from my coffee page. And with the elements that you have on this page, you will be able to create a double-sided tag that looks like this. Or if you want to have two tags, then of course you can just back the reverse side of each one of the designed tags with maybe tea stain paper or any other paper of your choice. Then you will have this charm with the bananas. It's right here. Then you will have a film strip that looks like this, and you will be able to create it either plain or add these additional elements right here and just kind of laminate them with the clear sticky tape to have a look similar to the one that I have on mine. Then you will also have two tickets, and I have another look of the tickets, but they are of the same size and color. And you will also have a specimen slide. It is right here with a cute bird in it, and that's the back. And here we have a papaya fruit, which is right here on the freebie page. So there are a few options to work with the freebie as well, and if we have time in today's video, I will include a separate part of it dedicated to the freebie page. If not, for the freebie I will have a separate video. We will just have to see how it goes. I'll put a freebie page aside for now, and we will start working on our folio. I will take my self-healing mat and I will find the first page that I'm going to need to answer some of the potential questions about the paper that I use for printing most of my kits. Here is the brand of the paper that I use. That's called Astro Brights. And here are some details that you might find useful about the paper. It is also available in white, but I like how the images turn when printed on the ivory cardstock. For cutting out the elements of the kit, I usually use a ruler and a craft knife. If you feel more comfortable using a paper trimmer, by all means go ahead and do that. There is nothing special about cutting out this specific page because you're just going to get rid of the borders around it. And once you're done with that, you will just fold it in half by lining up the corners on both sides. Try to be as precise as possible. And don't forget to use your bone folders for creasing the folds. So that's our first page, and this is the base of our folio. Next, we will work with the page that looks like this. I will use my scissors for trimming the corners here at the top. Next, I will use my 1.5 inch circle punch. And before punching out the opening, I actually need to do one more thing. I need to score the flaps. I will make sure that when I put the piece of paper on top of the scoreboard, one of these white lines that separate the main section of the pocket and the flap is right above one of the grooves of the scoreboard. And then I will just use my bone folder and score a line there, and then I will do the same with the white line which is on my left hand side. I will also find a place so that that line is right above one of the grooves of the scoreboard, and we also need to score a line along the bottom flap the same way. You will have 3 score lines on your pocket, and now we will be able to fold the flaps in, and then we will get back to our circle punch, and with the flaps of the pocket being folded in, we will make sure that we line the opening in our punch with the round edge on one of the sides of the pocket and punch it out like so. Do the same on the opposite side. This is what you're going to have. Next, I will ink the edges of this opening that I have just punched out, and I will need a piece of acetate that will be enough to cover the opening on the inside so that it goes around all the edges. I have a leftover piece of acetate that was laying around. In my case, it's 2 inches wide by 4.5 inches long. And I'm going to use my art glitter glue for gluing it down. I want to make sure that when I put cards and things inside the pocket when it's already attached to the folio, they will not catch on the top edge of the acetate. So to prevent that, I am just going to use a piece of clear tape. It doesn't have to go all the way from one edge of the acetate to the other. It's okay for it just to be in the center. And I will glue this piece of tape on top. We will need the tape once again for this pocket when we attach it to the base of the folio a little bit later. I'm not going to do that now, but that's something that we have to bear in mind. I will put the pocket aside for now as well, and I will get back to the labels that I have here on the page and some flowers that I need to fussy cut. I will use my scissors for that purpose, and for cutting out straight lines, I always like to use a ruler and a craft knife. Here we go. The rest of the images have been cut out from this page, and we can move on to the next one. I'm going to begin with this flap right here. The same thing. I'm using my ruler and a craft knife for cutting out along the straight edges of the elements. Use my scissors for trimming the corners, and then use my scissors for fussy cutting the leaves and the flowers. I always like to separate the images first so that I have smaller pieces of paper to work with. And then I have this postage stamp right here, and for cutting this out, you can either use your decal edge paper trimmer from Tim Holtz. You can also use one of those decorative scissors, and the one that I have here is from Fiskars, and it's called Mini Pinking. And you can also use a ruler that looks like that with the decal edge, and just tear the pieces of paper that you don't need around the edges of the stamp. I'm going to use my scissors, and this way I will have something which is very, very similar to a regular postage stamp, and it will look like this. I'm going to fussy cut out the flowers and the leaves, but I also want to get back to the flap. So let's have a look. We have the white line that goes between two parts of the flap itself. We have the part of the flap which is intended for the width of the folio, and then we also have a flap by which the whole piece will be attached to the folio base. I'm going to find those grooves and score the lines on my paper piece, and since the width of the flap will not necessarily match the width between the grooves on your scoreboard, you might need to slide it either to the left or to the right to make a score line in the perfect placing right along that white line on your element. And in total you will have 3 score lines on this piece. Now we will first of all fold it like so, and use our bone folder for creasing the fold. And then you will also make sure to create the flap and that gusset on the side, and you will have something that looks like this. Okay, so next I'm going to take my glue. Hi, Chloe. And I will apply the glue to 1/2 of this paper element and glue it together. And then we will need to use the ink and, of course, ink around all the edges of the whole flap, but also to make sure that this side of the gusset is not so bright, we will add some ink onto that paper area. And I like to add it first on the right hand side and then fold it like so and add more ink on the opposite side of the paper fold as well. You don't have to add too much ink on the area of this 1/2 inch flap because it will be glued down between the paper layers and it will not be visible. But I do recommend adding more ink on top of those white lines that served as our guides for folding the paper. And also one more thing to make sure that you are able to fold the whole flap with the gusset on top of the large part of this paper element, like so. Okay, we will set it aside and we will do the same with the second flap. That's our flap. Here are 3 score lines that you can see in the back. Now, as a matter of fact, I will try to fold the gusset first and the flap because it might be better to start from there. And then the edge of our flap needs to fold right up to the gusset. That way it will be more precise. And next I will do the same that I already showed you on the first flap. I will glue it down and then ink the edges. This is how it will look like. Our 2 flaps are ready, and this is how they look like for now. I will set these aside as well, and then we will work on the next page that looks like this. It has the top flap and the bottom flap of our folio. Chloe, I will need you to move just a little bit. My little companion. Okay, so I am, once again, nothing new, just going to use the ruler and the craft knife for cutting along the straight edges. I already wanted to use the glue and glue these 2 paper sections together, but don't do that yet. We will need to create a string closure, and you have a marked place for poking the hole for your circles on the flaps. So just cut this flap out. Cut out the second flap. This is what you're going to have. I want to get back to this paper piece with the circles. Let's work on them. You are going to measure your circles. Mine is 1/8 of an inch, the black one, and the patterned ones are 1 inch wide. I am lucky to have 2 punches of those sizes. This bunch is quite rare, so if you don't have this one, you can use the 1 inch circle punch for punching out the black circles out, and then use the 7/8 of an inch punch for punching out the patterned ones. That way you will be able to layer them the same way as I will be layering mine. And then I will glue the patterned circles on top of the black ones. Okay, we have our layered circles for the string closure. I can now take a poking tool and just poke a hole in the very center of each one of the circles. Just like so. And then I will get back to the flaps, and on the flaps you will also be able to find white circles for the string closure. I'm going to poke a hole in the center on each one of the flaps like this. Here we have 2 holes. And next you will need 2 tiny brads for attaching the circles to the flaps of our folio, like so. We'll secure them in the back. Make sure that you flatten the prongs of the brads nicely. This is how everything will look like. If you want to, you could add just some tiny pieces of tape on top of the prongs. The prongs of the brads are hidden by another paper layer, and this is how our flaps look like. We need to give them the final shape, and for that I'm going to use my ruler and a craft knife. Now we have everything we need to start building our folio, and it will go like this. So we will have our base. Just to remind you, it has been folded, and I think I didn't ink the edges, but I will do that now. I will take the bottom flap first, and I will be attaching it between the paper layers of the base like so, up to the score line of the fold. And I will be gluing it down to this section of my folio base with the print, while the back side is still plain. So I will apply the glue only to the 1/2 inch flap. Will be applied right here up to the colored and folded line of the gusset, and then I will slide it under the first layer of the paper with the print, and I will glue it down. So when you unfold your folio base, it will look like this. Next, I will take my top flap and I will do the same thing. You will see that both of these elements are the same width, so it will be easy for you to line them together. And this is what you will have. Okay, from all the possible views I'm showing this to you. This is that beginning. Next, you will take the flap that will be on the left hand side of our folio, and we are going to apply the glue onto this non-colored and non-inked flap, and we're going to glue it down under the printed paper layer, again the same way as we glued down the top and the bottom flaps. And once again, they are the same height, so make sure that you line up the corners at the top and at the bottom, and you should be good to go. This is our construction so far. We are ready to apply the glue to this whole area. and just cover with this paper piece all the flaps in order to hide them. Next, we're going to take our right hand side flap, apply the glue to the 1/2 inch flap, and glue it down like so along the right hand side edge of our folio. Make sure that you line up the corners. This is how it will look like. Already starts to take shape. Now we will flip it to the back and we will adhere this printed patterned paper in the back. Make sure that you don't forget to ink the edges of this paper piece. And adhere this right in the center. It will be just a little bit smaller than your bottom layer of paper. Make sure that you center the pattern paper piece on top, and you can glue it any direction you want. It doesn't really matter. That's the base of our folio. Take our pocket and we will get back to our tape right here. I will take a tiny piece, a piece that looks like this, and sorry for my inked fingers. I will keep it with the sticky side up, and I will position it right in the corner so that it doesn't overlap the fold lines. And I will cover this piece of tape with the paper flaps. And I will do the same on the opposite side. We will then take our glue and add the glue to the bottom flap of our pocket and to the side ones. We are adding the tape in the corners so that our journaling cards can be placed inside the pocket easier. Now we just need to center our pocket on top, and this is how it will look like. Next, we're going to work on the horizontal pockets for this side of our flap, and this is the page that has the pockets. I will cut the pockets out first. Once I have the pockets cut out like so, I will take my scoreboard and score the lines for folding the flaps. Then we will need 2 labels. You will see tiny white dots on the sides of each label. Poke those through with your poking tool. And then on the pockets, you will be also able to find white dots that will have to be poked through as well. I'm going to use the brads, and I will put the brads through the holes in the labels first, just like so. Then I will add the glue, and I will then hold the brad with my finger on one side and put it through the hole in the pocket, and quickly do the same with the brad and the hole on the opposite side. Then I will be able to flatten the prongs of the brads in the back. Our first label is attached. We'll do the same with the second one. Both of your labels will be perfectly centered. Glue a piece of tape on top of the bread's prongs in the back of each one of the pockets, and we will get back to our folio. On this side of the flap, you will see very thin brown lines that will help you position your pockets on this side of the flap. I will apply the glue to the bottom flap of the pocket, and I will now line this pocket up with the brown lines on my large flap, and I will adhere this pocket by the bottom flap only. I will open it up and add another piece of tape on top of that bottom flap right here. And next I will be able to add the glue to the side flaps and adhere the pocket down. Let's repeat the process for the second pocket. And once again, you will have the brown outline for placing the pocket on top of your large folio flap. Your pockets are now adhered to the flap right where they need to be. From the same page that we took the pockets out, we're going to cut out one of the journaling cards. Fold it in half like so, lining up the corners. You can add the glue to one of the halves and glue your card together. If you want to stitch around it or add any fabric tabs in between the layers of this card, you are welcome to do that. This card will go inside the bottom pocket. Next, I'm going to cut out this pocket. I will now use my scissors for cutting the rest of the outline of the pocket. I will use my scoreboard for scoring the flaps. Find a piece of acetate of the matching size. My acetate piece, if you wonder, it is about 1 3/4 by 3 1/4. I'm going to use the art glitter glue and apply it in a thin line around the opening itself. I think that I will add just another piece of tape here along the edge, but it's not something that you should also do. I just want to make sure that it keeps the acetate piece securely attached to the paper layer. Okay, I will get back to my folio, and this pocket will be glued right on top of the right hand side flap, and you will line it up with the outer edges of the flap itself. So I'm going to add the glue and adhere the pocket to the flap, flush with the bottom edge of the flap itself. I think I forgot to ink the edges of this pocket, so I still can do it at this point. Then I will take another piece of tape and I will make sure that it's only this wide, that it goes from the beginning of this image to the edge of the pocket on this side. I can glue it down right here and then cut off the excess while it's still not attached to the paper. Okay, and again, all of the clear tape is being glued down on top of the flaps to prevent the catching of the cards and slides that will go into that pocket. I do like to make sure that I use the clear tape in those places. I have added the glue along the remaining flap of the pocket, and I am ready to glue it down now. On the left hand side, this is how our folio looks like. We will now get back to the page of our kit that looks like this. And here we have another pocket that will be glued down on top of this area of the flap. And there is also a card that will go into it. And we have an additional slide that we will work on assembling together. As usual, I will begin by cutting around the straight edges of the elements. On this section of the flap, you will also see a very, very thin line that is your guide for placing the pocket on top of this flap. So first of all, I'm going to add the glue along this side of the pocket and then find the place for the pocket to be glued down onto. Okay, I have glued down the pocket along the left hand side edge, and now I will add a piece of tape along this flap on top. And next I will be able to glue the remaining flaps down. Now the pocket has blended with the background of the flap. That's exactly what I wanted to have there. We will get back to the card. You will see a cut box around the card. So you are going to cut along that box first. This is what you're going to have. Now you're going to fold the paper, making sure that you line up the corners. Burnish on the fold line with your bone folder. Now we will add the glue and then use our ruler and a craft knife to cut off the remaining cardstock sections at the top and at the bottom of our journaling card. Now, when it comes to this side, I like to use a ruler and a craft knife for cutting along the straight edges only up to the areas where the outline of the card starts to curve. So I'm first cutting right here, and then I'm using my sharp scissors for cutting out the rest by hand. I will use my corner rounder on these corners that are easily accessible, and then I will use my scissors for rounding the corners on this side. Ink the edges of this card, and it will be ready to go into its place inside the pocket. So we have completed the pocket on this side of the flap as well. Let's get back to the slide that we have right here. I'm going to cut out the slide first. Then I'm going to fold it in half. Okay, so we have cut out our parrots. And for the next step, I'm going to use a wide tape. And I also want to make sure that I don't touch the tape too much because my fingers are inky. I will take a piece that will be big enough to cover this whole area of the paper. And I will next need to trim the excess tape. Next, I will take my 1 1/4 inch circle punch and punch out the openings in the front of the slide. Now, when you have them punched out, let's not forget to add some ink. Now, you will have to position the images with the parrots between the paper parts of your slide. And you can see that I'm sliding the paper piece, which is between two of the layers, so that I find the perfect placement for those parrots in there. I think this way is fine. Now I will keep them with my fingers down in the same place, and I will add the glue behind. Add the glue to this section of my slide, and of course around the openings, and we will adhere this top paper layer to the one underneath, and our slide will be ready. And it can go inside the folio wherever you want, either here or in the pocket right here in the center. Let's get back to the next page of our kit. We have the slides that look like this. The way of assembling them will be very similar, but this time it will be even easier because they're already attached to the main section of each one of the slides, and you will not have to find the placement for them. In the previous case, I just needed to do it that way because there was not enough space left for this design of the slide. So I made it a little bit different, but either way, it worked fine. Let's cut out these slides first. Let's add the wide clear tape on top of the images. Next, I will take my 1 inch circle punch and punch out the openings, all 3 of them. Ink around the edges, add your glue, and assemble the slide. Instead of the clear tape, of course, you are welcome to use the acetate as well, if that's your choice. I just think that with tape, sometimes it's very easy and fast to assemble these types of slides. Then if you are, like me, bothered by the tape peeking through on that right-hand side edge of the slide, you can just cut a very tiny sliver off, and it will not be visible anymore. Let's just make sure that we ink this edge of the slide. This slide is ready. We will create the larger slide exactly the same way. Okay, we have 2 slides which are ready to be added to the folio. We'll get back to the cards which are left on this paper piece here. They can also be added to the folder. On the remaining paper piece, I am going to cut out the labels. And I am going to add a piece of that wide tape so that both of them are covered with tape. And then I can cut around the cut box. Then fold the paper piece in half, glue both halves together, and then use your scissors for cutting the pineapple out. Since it's a mirrored image, it will be cut out perfectly on the back as well. Now you can use your crocodile and punch a hole and add a tiny eyelet in order to create a charm. You can add this charm to one of the tags, one of the journaling cards, or even on the string closure. So I added this flower to my string, but you can add a pineapple as well. I think it will look nice. We are going to work on the large journaling card and an additional journaling card that will go inside this pocket here. And the large card will be placed in the pocket here. I will cut everything out and just fold and glue it together. Let's add these cards to our folio. Okay, so we will put this aside because we need to get back to one of our next elements, and it will be the large specimen slide. I'm going to cut around it first. Then you are going to score the lines between the parts of your slide. So one line will be right here, and then the second one will be there between these two sections. Here is that line where you will need to score. Now, after scoring, you will fold this section of the slide in and you will glue it down. Next, you will fold the second half of the slide on top and just make sure that you line up the corners. You might want to pull the paper on top just a little bit so that the corners meet. Now I am going to take my punch, which is a 1/4 inch circle punch, and I will punch out the corners of the future opening. I think that regular punches will reach to 3 of those corners with no problem. Now, since my punch can also reach further in, I will punch this hole out as well. But if you are using a regular punch, punch the 3 places first, and then here just use your scissors to cut out the rounded corner. For the rest of this step, you are going to use the ruler and the craft knife and just cut out along the edges of the frame. So yeah, if you are using scissors for cutting out this corner, you are going to cut almost up to the corner with your ruler and your craft knife, and then use your scissors to cut out a rounded corner in here. I hope that makes sense. As you can see, I'm inking the edges of the cut out frame. And next I will find a piece of acetate that will measure, let me tell you, around 3 inches wide by 4 3/4 inch long. Here is my acetate, and I'm going to glue it right on top of the opening. I have added a thin line of glue around the opening, and now I will cover that with my piece of acetate. I'm trying to slide it as last as possible on top of the paper. And let's make sure that we wipe off the excess of the glue. I will add the glue now everywhere else where it needs to be. Okay, I think I can glue it down together now. This is our large specimen card, and I'm just going to round the corners using my corner chomper. I like the rounded corners in this piece. Of course, we should not forget about inking the edges. This card will go into this pocket on the left hand side of the folio flap. We are almost done, almost. We have to cut out the remaining tag as well. I can put it wherever I want. I think I can put it even right here. Okay, so 1 page of the kit is left, and it has the envelope, the card that will go into that envelope, and some fussy cut elements. So let's cut out the card first, I think. Now let's get back to the envelope. I'm going to roughly cut around it first, just to get rid of the images that I will need to fussy cut later. As usual, I will cut along the straight edges using a ruler and a craft knife, and then I will round the rest of the corners with the help of the scissors. I think I'm going just to use my ruler and line it along the white lines, which you will be able to see between the flaps of the envelope. So I'm first kind of folding it towards the top, and then fold them in the opposite direction, the way they will be on the assembled envelope. You can also use your scoring board for that, or maybe even a needle tool and just score a line prior to folding the flaps. However you want to do that, everything works. Now, I like to use my needle tool in order to mark the areas where I need to apply the glue, because I don't want to sketch a line with a pencil on this envelope. So the needle tool helps me do the same thing, and the line is not visible when the envelope is assembled. So the envelope with the card and the additional fussy cut elements that you will have from the kit will go into this horizontal pocket on the right hand side flap, like so. And what's left for us to do on this folio is, of course, to add the string closure and to add some more decorative elements here and there on the flaps. So this is what we're going to do next. I will no longer need my self-healing mat, so I took it away. And let's get back to some of the elements that we are going to need for completing our folio and embellishing it. Let's add the closure to our folio. I am first of all going, without even cutting the thread off the spool yet, I am going to slide it under the top circle and tie a double knot. And then I will cut off this tail, making sure that I go with my sharp scissors just slightly under the circle, just to make sure that that tail is not visible. And then I will use the string and wind it around the closure a few times. I think twice is for sure enough. Now I can cut off the excess. And as I told you on the previous version, I have used the pink flower. There are two versions of the flower, and both of them are mirrored images. So if you cut more or less precisely around the edges, when you glue both of the flowers together, you will be sort of a nice border. So you are welcome to choose if you want one of the pink flowers here, or I remind you that we also have a pineapple charm that we have created, so we can also use that one. I think that I will go with the pineapple charm this time. Okay, now on this folio, as you can see, I have added a few flowers onto the flap at the top, and these were these flowers. I think I will do the same here. So to make sure that they slide better under the circle and they don't stick out from the edges of the flap, I will just cut a part of the image off, just like so. And yeah, just make sure that you don't cut too much. Since we didn't use the pink flowers, I think we might want to add some of them behind that circle at the top as well. Let's open our folio now and add some more images to that flap at the top. Then to the flap at the bottom, I also want to add a few things. Next, we will work on this pocket right here. Let's have another look at what's left. In the back, let's see what we can do. Okay, we have finished everything here, and I think one more place that I forgot to add some more elements, and we could do that, is the card. So first of all, we can add just a pink flower in here as well, and you can decide which one you want. I think this one actually works fine for me. We can also add a label right here for dimension. We will add it on top of the slide as well. I think that this pretty much completes our project for today. I like how colorful it is. I hope you enjoyed working on this folio together with me. The kit will be available in my Etsy store, and as I mentioned before, I think I will need to create an additional video. It will be a short one for the freebie. I will show you how to assemble the slide and the film strip, and yeah, it will be a separate video that will probably come out the day after the video with the main kit. So if you have any questions, guys, please let me know. Let me know what you think about this project. If you have any questions about the paper, about any other things that I didn't mention, but you would like to know what I used, also, you're welcome to leave a comment, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will talk to you soon. Bye.